of the highlights of this day was a surprise. When professional members of staff, I had a great time. Coaster's not that great. Whippy, it was snappy. They don't listen, they don't care. This is a quick Thorpe Park review for 2024. We went at the start of June. I'm just going to start with the biggest elephant in the room. That is Hyperia being closed. Group of 5 of us, we couldn't rearrange stuff, get the same time off. We had to go on the day that we went. We had to stand and watch the ride testing all day, which was just annoying. It was clearly obvious that you could have gone on it, but at the same time, there's laws and regulations, safety stuff that they just couldn't let us on. So we didn't get on the ride. It literally opened 2 days later. So obviously we were gutted about that because that is the main reason we went. It sucks, but that's just how new roller coasters are sometimes. They have issues at the start of their, just after they open, basically. It's happened with most roller coasters that have opened this year around the world. Top Thrill, Voltron had issues. I'm sure there's a bunch of other ones. Nevertheless, we still got on all the other roller coasters multiple times. The Swarm was awesome as always. Definitely prefer the right hand side. If you're going to go on the Swarm, sit at the back. It's so much better. You get pulled round those elements so much faster, especially the first drop. I personally love winged coasters, so no issues with the Swarm whatsoever. Still a great coaster, one of the best in the UK. Stealth was, as always, awesome. Stealth's the only one of those coasters I've been on, you know, where you launch and go up over a top hat. I know it's one of the smallest in the world in comparison to some of the other huge ones that are nearly twice the height of it. So, as far as Stealth goes, it is the world's fastest accelerating coaster. That launch is just amazing. I had a bit of a sinus issue and a blocked nose and everything when we went on it, and I don't know, that kind of affected the ride a little bit. It didn't affect me on any other roller coasters, but for some reason Stealth, which I've been on before, when you've got a bunged up head and a bit of mucus and cold, whatever, it's a lot harder to take in the ride experience as you're going round, I found anyway. Nevertheless, it was still a great ride. It's never a letdown. Ride operations were great, as always. They didn't even scan our fast pass, so we could have gone on it multiple times. They just let us on. Like, the member of staff who was letting people on the fast track on Stealth, he wasn't checking them. He was just kind of, you could tell he was tired or hungover. It was almost like he wanted to go home, which isn't great, doesn't look good, but at the same time we don't care because we got to go on it multiple times because no one was checking the fast track. The next ride surprised me. That was Saw the Ride. The first time I went on Saw the Ride, I didn't really think that much of it. I was kind of underwhelmed, a bit disappointed, and this time I went on it, I had a great time. I thought it was one of the best rides of the day. I don't know why. I guess I just, because I was disappointed the first time, I was expecting it to be a disappointment this second time that I went on it, and ended up having a great time. I thought it was whippy, it was snappy, it was fast, and I just really enjoyed it. So the ride's definitely gone up in my books. The next roller coaster was Nemesis Inferno. Nemesis Inferno, I didn't realise how short it was. I don't remember it being as short as it was from the last time I went, but I felt like it was quite short. But we did do the front row on it. Front row definitely, I don't know. The problem with these inverted coasters, I can never decide between the front row and the back row, because the front row is amazing for the views, whereas the back row is always amazing for that intensity, if that's what you're after. Obviously, we did both. I can't decide which is better, but I don't think Nemesis Inferno is as good as Nemesis at Alton Towers. I still haven't been on Nemesis Reborn. I will get on it this year at some point. But I do love the theming on this ride. Just the whole jungle area, the mist tunnel that you go through, stuff like that, the volcano. It's still a great roller coaster. We also then went on Colossus. Colossus was, the first time I went on Colossus, I got my head smashed in side to side. It was rough. This time, however, it wasn't as bad. The reason being because I saw a video that basically gave you the advice to stick your head forward. Just stick your head forward. It won't get rattled around. And it worked. It is a little bit annoying having to hold your head forward the whole time. I'd rather be able to look up, but still, it solves the issue of getting your ears and your head smashed in. And, all in all, Colossus, it's a good roller coaster. I wish they'd change the trains on it. Get trains with lap bars, and maybe finish off retracking the ride, because some parts of it are still a bit rough. We didn't go on the Walking Dead ride because we just don't, I don't know, that coaster's not that great. If it was a backward coaster, fine, but it doesn't there's no intensity. It doesn't give me any thrill. There were no live actors. I still think the queue line for Walking Dead is better than the actual ride itself. If I was in charge of Thorpe Park, I'd get rid of the ride just in general. I'd take that thing down. It's over 25 years old now, I think. It should go. They could put something much better there. We then went to get churros. I ordered churros with milk chocolate sauce. The guy behind the counter said, "Do you want sugar?" I was like, yeah. "And milk chocolate?" And he goes, "Just sugar." I was like, "Well, yeah, I want sugar with it and milk chocolate." And then he gives it to me, just churros and sugar. And I give it back. I was like, "What about the milk chocolate? Where's the sauce?" And he just kind of shook his head like I'd annoyed him. Like, just listen to what I fucking ask. And if you don't like your job doing that, you shouldn't be there. It kind of annoyed me. It's like, you ask for something, they don't listen, they don't care. And then when you tell them it's not what you wanted because they didn't listen, and they get all upset about it. It just looked bad. Unprofessional staff. They got quite a few unprofessional members of staff at Thorpe Park, I felt. Until I came to Storm Surge. Now, I didn't know you weren't allowed to go to film on Storm Surge. It is signposted. I didn't see the signpost, that's fine. But you're allowed on there with your bag, so I just naturally got my GoPro out and filmed it. And at the end of the ride operator came over. He was like, "Who's got the GoPro?" And I was like, "It's mine." He's like, "You can't film on ride. Can you delete the footage?" And he made me delete the footage in front of him. Fine, yeah, it sucked. I would have loved to have that footage. But at the end of the day, he's just doing his job. He's being a professional. So it is what it is. And Storm Surge is a ride. I still think it's a great ride. We loved it. You have a group of us going down, get a little bit wet. You can't see where you're going. I like it. I think it's underrated, personally. We also went on some other flat rides. Depth charge, yeah, short but sweet. Nice little dinghy splash ride. I remember going on that when I was like 10 years old, and it's still there. But it was still a good bit of fun. Then we went on Samurai. I remember Samurai at Chessington, and I wasn't tall enough to go on it then. So this ride I've finally gone on. It was good. There were some quite whippy turns. You get flung around quite a bit, but all in all, I have to say I was actually a little bit disappointed. It wasn't what I thought, and I wouldn't go on it again. The other flat ride we went on was Rush, which also was a great disappointment. Rush builds this momentum up, and you finally get going. When the swings finally get really high and good, and you're like, whoa, then just the cycle ends, and it just stops, and you're like, oh, is that it? Just as it was getting good. And I don't get why, because the queue was 5 minutes. It's a 5-minute queue. It's not like you're making people wait by having the cycle go on longer. I don't know. It was a bit annoying that it was such a short cycle. One of the highlights of this day was a surprise, and that was Tidal Wave. We'd never been on Tidal Wave. We wanted to go on it because, I don't know, it wasn't winter. Last time we went, it was the end of October. It was freezing. We knew if we get wet, we'd just be like cold for the rest of the day. So we thought while the sun's out, we'll get on it, and my God, did we get drenched. But it wasn't annoying. It was actually quite fun. When Tidal Wave first hits the water, it's really awesome. Like, you've got this, like, it's like a curtain of water goes up in front of you just before it comes down on you and you get drenched. But I'd never seen that before. I'd never been on one of these huge splash boat rides, and I loved it. I thought it was amazing how the water just went up in front of you. It was like being in a tidal wave. Pretty awesome ride. I had a good time on it. Yeah, I guess you could say this is one of the biggest surprises of the day for me. Other than that, I mean, food was food. It's London prices, theme park prices, pretty expensive, but, if you've got the budget, it's fine. We got fast track for the main 5 coasters, not including Hyperia, which was irrelevant anyway because it was shut. But it was definitely worth getting because the park was dead in the morning. So we found that we didn't even need the fast track. We got on all the rides just in their short queues. And then in the afternoon, when the park picked up and it got busier, then we used the fast track. So we were able to get on most roller coasters twice, apart from Colossus, because it's one of the weaker ones, and Saw the Ride, because we actually had to use the fast pass on Saw the Ride because it had quite a long queue in the morning and the afternoon, and we weren't willing to wait. We have to travel 4 hours to get to Thorpe Park. We have to stay the night if we go there. So yeah, the whole thing was a bit annoying as far as Hyperia goes. We can't just go back and ride Hyperia whenever. It's a long journey and it's an overnight stay for us. You know, we're from the middle of Wales, me and my friend group. Other than that, that is my Thorpe Park review. I think as a park, it's... I prefer Alton Towers as a park. But I think Thorpe Park has some of the better rides, if that makes sense. And that's not including Hyperia. I'm sure once I've been on Hyperia, I'll definitely say that Thorpe Park has the better rides. I still prefer Alton Towers as a park in general. I don't know. It always kind of changes. They're very neck and neck. I just can't decide which one. One year I'll prefer one over the other. So if you're thinking of going to Thorpe Park, I definitely recommend it. But check on Hyperia. Check it's running, you know. I know it's hard because it breaks down at... when you least expect it. It would suck to have to go all the way down there and miss out just like I did. I've been following the construction, waiting to get on this ride. You finally go and yeah, it's closed. Other than that, it was a good day. Just a few unprofessional staff, I guess. But I guess you'll probably get that wherever you go. So it's inevitable. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.